Now, if you've ever doubted my commitment to this job, I just want everybody to know that I drove to Kirkby today to stand in the pouring rain just to see how Liverpool is shaping up in terms of team news ahead of their Champions League group stage clash with Lille tomorrow. So I'm cold, I'm wet, but I do have some information to share with you, and so I'll get to doing that now. Of course, the big team news and the big interest around this training session really was whether Diogo Jota was going to be involved. Of course, he missed the Brentford game, having suffered a little bit of a setback. It was described by Arne Slot as a niggle in his comeback against Forest, and came on in that game, of course, and scored a goal, but not involved in the Brentford game. And there was maybe a chance of him being involved in this one today. Obviously, Arne Slot in his press conference ahead of Brentford said that he didn't expect that Jota would be out too long, but unfortunately we've seen the players coming out there to train and no sign of Diogo Jota, so doesn't look like there's going to be any chance that he will be involved in the Lille game. But as I say, Arne Slot had been kind of upbeat about the length of this injury, and it didn't seem like it was going to be a lengthy one, so therefore I think the hope now is that he will be back for Ipswich at the weekend, and we'll have to see how he gets on in terms of that. But it is of course a blow to losing for Lille, but hopefully not too long of time on the sidelines for him. Now, in terms of the other injury concern, of course the only other player who was missing from training today was Joe Gomez, but that's absolutely no shock, is it? We know he's got a hamstring injury, it's going to keep him out for a while, so no signs of him today, and again, that's one of those we'll just have to see in terms of how he progresses with that one. Arne Slot very reluctant to give timescales on injuries, isn't he? And we haven't really had a sign in terms of how long Joe Gomez is going to be, but not involved today, and we'll see how he progresses in terms of coming back. Now, in terms of other team news talking points, I've heard a lot of suggestions and kind of read on social media, the idea that Liverpool would rotate heavily for this game against Lille. But I have to say, I don't actually expect that is going to be the case. It's not my understanding really that Arne Slot is going to go strong for this one, and there's a few reasons for that. I know maybe the concern is that Liverpool have got a lot of games at the moment. It's kind of midweek, weekend constantly, isn't it? And people get a little bit worried about fatigue and the potential for injuries there. But I do think Slot has been very good at managing his squad so far this season. They know when players are in the red zone, they know when they're in danger, and they do pull them out from time to time. And as I say, I think he will go strong in this one, because it is an important game. I mean, as a starting point, a win in the Champions League is worth an awful lot of money. I think it is about £2 million per win. So, that always helps to boost you in terms of your transfer kitty, in terms of the money you're putting together for, say, some contracts at the moment, maybe. So it is important to win Champions League games from a financial perspective. But of course, the bigger concern is the sporting one. And I think, again, for Liverpool, you can make a really strong case that they would really want to win this for a few reasons. Of course, they're sat top of the Champions League table at the moment, and if they win this, it's obviously the penultimate group game that they will face, and then Barcelona don't win, then it will guarantee that Liverpool go through to the next round as the top side, basically, to the top of the top 8, and that will help them out in terms of seeding. So I think that will be a consideration for Liverpool, that they kind of want to win this group stage if possible. And as I say, if results go for them on Tuesday, it's possible that they could already wrap that up and turn that PSV away game into a complete dead rubber where Arne Slot could rotate completely. So I think that has real appeal for it, really. That is a really good reason for Arne Slot to go as strong as he possibly can. And in terms of evidence, and as I say, it's my understanding Liverpool will go as strong as possible. In terms of evidence for that, I think we've got a strong indication from the fact that Ibrahim Konate is the player who is going to be up at the press conference later at Anfield. That's around 3:30 or so. So obviously, you get the sign then when a player does the press conference that they are likely to start, and there's no doubt whatsoever that Konate is part of Liverpool's strongest 11, so I'm sure we'll be seeing him in the starting lineup. But of course, I'm talking about the manager going strong, but I do think there is potential for the odd change. Like I say, I don't think it's going to be full rotation like a Chiesa or a Harvey Elliott coming in, but I do think there's the chance that we do see the odd change across the team just to freshen things up, in certain areas. And one of those, I think, is maybe up top. Obviously, Luis Diaz has been leaned on a lot at the moment in that centre-forward role, and I don't think it's always worked brilliantly for Liverpool, as I've kind of mentioned a couple of times. And I think when you've got Darwin Núñez there, he's chomping at the bit. He scored 2 great goals against Brentford. He's feeling confident, and you do want to maybe give out a few rests in attack from time to time. Maybe a home game here is a really good opportunity to maybe help Núñez get the chance to build on that. And maybe also if you move Diaz from that centre forward role, gives you a chance to maybe try him on the left, give Gakpo a rest, because for me he's played a lot of football recently, so that is one of the changes. One of the other areas maybe is Andy Robertson at left back. Obviously he doesn't start against Brentford. Kostas Tsimikas gets the nod, and I thought both players contributed really well to that game. But you want to kind of keep the freshness there, the rotation going. It's a pretty even battle between those two at the moment as well, isn't it? So I wouldn't be shocked at all to see Andy Robertson start this one, and then again it's competition between the two of them, who gets the shirt for Ipswich, and we'll have to see. And then maybe one more change as well that would make it 3 is, does Curtis Jones come in? Obviously he comes in as a substitute against Brentford, but is he ready for a start? Do you need to give someone like McAllister, who gets through so much running, a little bit of a rest? Maybe true of Dominic Szoboszlai as well, who is just covering an unbelievable amount of ground at the moment. Maybe Curtis Jones can come in, and you know that you're not going to get too big of a drop off there, because he's been a very, very important squad player for Liverpool. Now, in terms of, as I said, I mentioned Chiesa and Harvey Elliott, in terms of don't expect that they would be involved from the start in this one, but also it is a home game. If Liverpool can play well and they can get themselves a lead, it's an opportunity, I think, if you do go with your strongest 11, get them off as early as possible, and then you think, can you get a couple of goals up and back yourself to see it out? And if so, get Mo Salah off, bring in Federico Chiesa. For me, that's the smart move. If Dominic Szoboszlai does start again, and we do know how much work he gets through, can you bring him out late in the game to bring in a Harvey Elliott or so? I think that would be a real positive for Liverpool if you could do that. But of course, the job they have to do to get themselves in that position is to be 2 or 3-0 up late in the game, and we really hope that they are able to do that. Now, just one more point I want to kind of touch on as well before I wrap up. Great again, I think, to see so many academy prospects involved in training today. I think it's going to be tough for them to make the squad for this one, because Liverpool have only got those 2 injury absentees. There isn't a lot of space there, is there, in terms of where they can make it onto the bench, although these are expanded benches, so that does help them, I guess, in terms of potential involvement. So we do hope they make that. And I'm looking at the likes of Jayden Danns, Trey Naoni, both of those involved today, which I think is fantastic to see. It continues that tradition that Jurgen Klopp had in terms of having the academy players involved, but also, could there be any opportunities for them? I mean, I speak all the time about how much I am a huge fan of Jayden Danns. Would love to see him get some minutes maybe late on in this. There's no Diogo Jota there. Do you need to rest Núñez if he does an hour or so? Can you bring him off and put Jayden Danns on? I would absolutely love to see that. And similarly in midfield, if you do give one of those a rest, give them the entire night off, and maybe bring Trey Naoni in late in the game. One young player we know won't be involved is Rio Ungamoa. Of course, he's not on Liverpool's A list. He wasn't named in that because youngsters don't tend to be, but he also can't be on the B list because he hasn't been at the club for as long as 2 years yet, and so you can sneak those B list players into your squad whenever you like. These are under 21 players, but Ungamoa can't because he only joined the club this summer, so he won't be involved, and he wasn't involved in training today, so we won't be seeing him. But hopefully, as I say, a few of the youngsters will get a chance, and it would be a really good experience for them if they can. So I'm going to leave it there anyway. Do let me know in the comments what you think about that team news. No Diogo Jota, but what 11 would you select for this one? How strong would you go? Really interested to know what you guys think. And of course, I will be at Anfield tomorrow to watch the game and there for my post-match review. So I'll see you guys then.